Hey, what is up everyone? This is Abhishek from Motionations, and in this video I will show you how to install and use my new script 3D Extruder. In case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is my new script 3D Extruder. This script allows you to add some really nice 3D depth to your 2D animations. There are two versions of this script, one is free and the other one is plus version. Both the versions have same functionality, but the plus version has some little bit extra features as compared to the free one. So I will recommend you to buy the plus version, which is paid, and since it has few extra options which will be very handy when you start to use this script. Not only this, the revenue that I will collect from this script will help me to run this channel and create more free content for you guys. There is a download link in the description from where you can download this script. Once you have downloaded the script, you will get a zip file and you have to extract it using any extractor. You can use 7-zip or any other. After extracting, you will get these two files, and in order to install the script you have to copy these files. After copying the script, you have to paste it in the scripts UI folder. You can go to this path for Windows and Mac and simply paste the files into this folder like this. Once you have pasted the file, you are ready to go. So after pasting the script files, you have to open up the After Effects, and you can access the script by going to the Windows and then click on the script, and you will get this dockable script panel. So this is the UI for the plus version, and I've also installed the free version, and this is the free version. In this video I will show you how to use the plus version, and pretty much everything that is in this free one will be covered in that. So these are the UI for both the scripts, and in the plus version there are few little extra options, and in the free one you get the basic functionality. This panel is completely resizable, and so you can dock it anywhere you want, and let's dock it over here like this, and you are ready to go. Now I will show you how to use this script. As you can see that there are few buttons in the script, and I will explain what these do one by one as we proceed in this video. Also, I have set up few compositions over here, and I will show what you guys can do with this script and how to use it. So in the first composition we have this square shape, which is nothing but simply a 2D layer and a camera. Now in order to extrude any layer, you have to simply select it, then click on this extrude button, and you can input any depth you want. For this example, let's go with 15, and if I click on extrude, you can see that it creates few composition and a controller to that. So if I press C to access the camera, and here I can see that it has created some nice 3D extrusion to the square. So I can access few more parameters if I click on this square controller, and here you can see the first option is 3D depth shadow. So I can lower it down to make it darker or make it bright if I scroll it up, and here you can see that it changes the depth color like this. So you can set it to whatever you want. Also there are few offset options, so you can also offset the extrusion in whatever axis you want. So you can offset it in the x-axis, or you can offset it in the y-axis. Also you can offset it in the z-axis also, but if you offset in the z-axis too much, you will get these staggered lines, and I will show you how to fix this later on. For now, let's see what else you can do with this. So if I undo it like this, and you can also animate this square or whatever shape you have by simply selecting the controller, and since it is parent to this 3D depth composition, so it will animate it with this. So if I add a keyframe for the rotation, and if I rotate it around the axis like this and playback, you can see that the whole animation is applied to this shape layer. And there is one problem with this approach, is that if I want to animate the square itself, if I go to this 3D composition, you can see that we have 15 copies of this layer, and I have to animate each layer individually. So there is a better approach if you want to extrude any layer, which is by simply pre-composing the layer. So for example, let's pre-compose this circle layer before I extrude it. Let's pre-compose, and now if I want to extrude it, so let's go with 25, and if I click on extrude, and it will add some 3D depth to it, so like this. And if I want to animate, I can simply go to this composition, into the circle composition, and add a keyframe for any property. Let's go with the scale, and if I go back to the circle composition, here you can see that the whole circle is animated, or I can do whatever I want in the composition and it will automatically update in this one. Also, you can update the depth of this layer. All you have to do is simply select this layer and you can click on these depth update buttons, and you can increment it by clicking on this plus button. By default it increments by a step of 5, and you can hold down Control if you want to add more steps, and you can see that now it updates with the bigger steps. In the same way, you can also decrease the depth by simply clicking on this negative button, or hold down the Control and then click, then it will update faster. Now you don't want to go extreme with the depth, or simply just clicking on this button, as it will create multiple copies and it will slow down your After Effects. So in order to get around with this, what you guys can do is select the layer, and for example I want to add more extrusion to this. What I can do is, instead of using this button, I can simply select the controller and use the Z offset, so that I can offset the layers in the Z space. As you can see that the depth is increasing and we are not increasing any further copies to it, so it is quite faster that way. But in case you see the staggered lines like earlier I showed, so in order to fix that, what you guys can do is simply select this layer and add few depth to it, and then you can play around with this offset and it will simply make the edges cleaner and you will not have any zagged lines or something like that. So in that way you can use this script to update the depth. Also, you can select any layer you want, or multiple layers, in whatever sequence you want. So if I select this and this layer and click on this extrude button, and it will extrude those layers and add controllers to them respectively, so I can animate or change the parameters for any of these layers. And if I select the camera and move around, you can see that we have only extruded these 3 selected layers which we wanted to. So that's how you can extrude multiple layers. It can be composition or layers, whatever you want. And not only this, you can also extrude text using this method. So in this composition we have this 3D depth text layer, and if I select it and click on this extrude button, and here you can see that it adds some really nice 3D depth to it. As you can see that I can rotate it around and see the extrusion. So if I want to increase the extrusion, I can simply select this 3D depth layer and click on this plus button, or if I want to decrease it, I can click on this negative button. And in case I want to offset the depth in whatever axis I want, I can simply do that by selecting these controllers like this and have different look for that. And one more thing, if you guys have extruded it, you can simply undo it by simply pressing the Ctrl Z key like this, and it will go back to the original shape. Now let's see what this depth color checkbox do, which says use After Effects light. So if you by default select the layer and extrude it without selecting this checkbox, it will add fake depth color to it. For example, like you saw in this square, as you can see that I can control the color by simply selecting this depth shadow layer. And if I want to use After Effects lights, I can do that. As in this composition, I have set up these 5 lights, and you guys can use the After Effects light to interact with the depth color of your object. And to showcase that, let's see all these 5 lights. So there are 4 and there is the 5th one. And if I select the square layer and simply click on this extrude button while making sure that this button is checked, and if I click on that, here you can see that now our object is actually interacting with this light. You can see that there is this nice glow at the edge and it is coming through these lights. And in the same way, if I turn around, you can see that here also there is nice glow like that. And you can also update the light setting in the same way as you can do as you did with the depth. So what you have to do is simply select the layer and then click on this light button. You can choose this fixed light button, and if I click on that, you can see that immediately it changes the light setting. And now you can go to this square controller and simply select this parameter to change the depth color like this. And if I want to use the After Effects light again, all I have to do is simply select this layer again and then click on this button, and it will turn back to the 3D light mode. And here you can see that object starts to interact with the lights again. Also, there is one really nice tip or trick that I want to share with you guys, is that for example in this composition I have set up these animations, and if I go into the composition, here you can see that we have multiple layers and all these layers are animated and they are one upon each other. So instead of extruding all these layers one by one, I can do that same by simply selecting this and click on extrude, and it will extrude all the layers. And instead of doing that, what I can do is, so here you can see that it has extruded all the layers, and the scene will become really heavy since all these layers are extruded in 3D space and there are like several copies of each layer. So instead of doing that, what you guys can do is, if I undo everything and if I go to the main composition, here I can simply select the composition, and let's uncheck this because I don't need that, and simply click on this extrude button. Here you can see that we have created the same extrusion, and this one is quite faster. This one is quite faster as compared to earlier where we have like multiple copies of each layer. So to fasten up your workflow, you can recompose the layer and then extrude them at the end, and here you can see that we have really nice depth to it. Also you can play around with these offsets. So I was experimenting with this and I achieved a really nice depth effect. If I set this to 15 and also Y offset to 15, here you can see that we have really nice 3D depth to it, and you can play around with that. Also you can update the depth parameter anytime you want. All you have to do is simply click on this negative button. So right now this looks good, and if I play back now, you can see that it is playing really fast and without any lag. So all the layers are 3D as well. So this is how you can use this script to animate your whole composition without having to like going to each element and then extruding it, as it will slow down your workflow so much that you won't be able to work on it. So this is the final step which you guys can do, is simply recompose the whole animation, then dragging it to a new composition and then selecting the layer and then click on extrude, and then it will add some really nice depth to it. So this is how you guys can use this script. Also there are these two buttons, help and about. If you click on this help button, and you can access the whole guide for this script, what each button do and how to use it, or you can simply click on this button to watch the video tutorial. In the same way you can click on this about button and get other detailed information about the script. So that's how you can use this script, and if you guys face any problem with that, you can simply go to the about section, and here is my email address. You can send me an email and I will try to respond it as soon as possible. So that's it for this video, and I hope you guys will enjoy this script and create some really 3D extruded animations, and you can share them with me on social media. Just simply text me or comment on my videos, and I would love to see what you guys are creating using this script. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.